Discover the incredible moment a millionaire uncovered his daughter's heartwarming bond with the community. Tom Weller stood at the edge of his lavish suburban lawn, the gleaming sunlight glinting off the pristine windows of his mansion. He was a millionaire, a self-made entrepreneur, respected and envied by many. Yet, as the laughter of his neighbors erupted around him, a hollow ache clenched his chest. He had everything: money, accolades, a comfortable life, but the emptiness inside him was a gaping chasm, one he had created himself by neglecting what truly mattered. His daughter, Mia, today felt different, though. With a hesitant heart, he ventured to the local community center, a place he had overlooked for far too long. What he found there pierced through his carefully constructed bubble. There, amidst the chaos of children's laughter and the vibrant energy of volunteers, was Mia. She radiated warmth as she knelt beside a group of kids, showing them how to paint. For a fleeting moment, pride filled him, tinged with bitter regret as he realized just how disconnected they had become. Mia was no longer the little girl he remembered; she had transformed into a spirited young woman, just beginning to carve out her path. He watched her engage wholeheartedly, every interaction displaying compassion and genuine care. In that instant, Tom felt the weight of his choices crash over him. He had chosen wealth over warmth, status over the smile that should have been his every day. "Dad?" Mia's voice broke through his thoughts, and she looked his way, confused. "What are you doing here?" The simple question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken years of hurt. He wanted to speak, to tell her how beautiful she was, how proud he was, but his tongue felt tied. In a desperate attempt to reconnect, Tom offered a generous donation to the community center. He thought it might win back some affection, perhaps even reconciliation. But Mia's reaction was fierce. "Money isn't the answer, Dad. It never was. These kids need more than dollars, they need genuine love and support." The tension crackled like electricity between them. Tom's heart raced, each accusation striking deeper than nails. "I'm trying to help, Mia," he countered, his voice thick with frustration. But all he saw was the hurt in her eyes, a mirror reflecting his failures. She didn't see the millions he'd earned, she saw the years he'd spent away from her life. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As their heated words hung in the air like a looming storm, a sudden crisis struck the center. Funding was dwindling, and hope was fading. A realization thundered inside Tom: he was now faced with a crossroads. He could put aside his pride and join forces with Mia, face the community leaders, and fight for the center. This was about more than money, it was about being present, giving a part of himself he had long neglected: the love for his daughter. Could he transform his mindset and carve a new beginning? The impending storm brewed overhead, brewing emotions far more intense than any boardroom negotiation. Would he find the courage to reconnect with Mia and discover, together, what real success was, beyond the numbers and accolades? The question loomed larger than ever as the sun dipped lower in the sky, hinting at both an ending and a beginning. Community. The air buzzed with urgency as Tom stood there, wrestling with the weight of his decisions. The vibrance of the community center felt alive, its heartbeat echoing through the walls. Around him, kids laughed, adults worked, and Mia's passion lit up the room. He could feel the stark reality of his shortcomings pressing down like a heavy blanket. "I want to help," he said, the words nearly choked out. Mia's eyes mirrored a mix of skepticism and hope. "Honestly, Dad, helping means getting involved, not just throwing money at the problem." Her words cut deep, but Tom didn't recoil. For the first time in years, he felt something awaken in him, a spark of determination mixed with the bitter taste of regret. "What if I joined you?" he blurted out. The suggestion hung in the air, thick with possibility. Mia studied him, her expression shifting from disbelief to cautious curiosity. Join me? You mean, really help? Yes. I don't want to just watch from the sidelines anymore, he replied, his voice steadier now. I'm willing to learn whatever it takes. Let's South fight for this place together. Mia's gaze softened, but there was still a wariness there. It's not just about saving the center, she said. It's about being there for the kids. They look up to us. We need to be their support system. Her passion flooded Tom with guilt for the years he missed. The laughter and joy surrounding them seemed to snatch away his breath. The kids' bright eyes sparkled with dreams and needs, the responsibility hit him hard. He stepped closer, feeling the vibrancy pulse around him. I know I've been a ghost in your life, but if you give me this chance, he paused, finding the courage to look into her eyes, I want to show you I can be better. For a moment, silence reigned. All around them, the world buzzed on, but here, in this vulnerable moment between father and daughter, time felt suspended. Then, Mia nodded slowly. Okay, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But this isn't going to be easy. I didn't expect it to be, Tom replied, his heart racing with both fear and excitement. I want to understand what it means to connect, to really be a part of your world. As they stood side by side, a new goal intertwined their lives, woven tightly with threads of hope. Tom could feel that this was not merely about the community, it was about them, about healing and moving forward. The evening sun cast a warm glow, transforming the room with a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they began to brainstorm. Tom's past of numbers and property seemed insignificant compared to the vibrant ideas flowing in that moment. He watched as Mia shared her vision, the light in her eyes illuminating his path forward. Hours flew by as they pored over strategies, ideas, and plans. They would organize fundraisers and community events, gather support, and rally their friends and neighbors. Yet in the midst of planning, a nagging fear clawed at Tom's heart. Would this be enough? Could they really rebuild not just the center, but their relationship, from the ground up? Mia noticed his sudden stillness. What's wrong? She asked, concern creeping into her voice. I want to do this right. What if I mess it up again? Mia took a step closer, her hand resting gently on his arm. That's the point, Dad. We're learning together. It's okay to feel scared. It's how we grow. For the first time in forever, the warmth of her presence felt like a beacon of hope rather than a reminder of loss. At that moment, they were not just father and daughter. They were partners, bound by a shared mission, facing the storm ahead together, but as they outlined their next steps, neither could shake the looming question, what if the community embraced Tom, but his past still haunted him? What if he stumbled at the first hurdle? Would Mia's forgiveness hold strong, or would old wounds open anew? The adventure was only beginning. As dawn broke the next day, Tom found himself in the center's kitchen. The air smelled of brewing coffee and fresh pastries, a comforting aroma that settled his nerves. Today was the day, the start of everything. He washed his hands, feeling the cool water wash over him, as if it could cleanse him of his past failures. Mia bounced in, her energy infectious, holding a clipboard crammed with scribbled notes. I have a list of things we need to tackle. This fundraiser is our chance to get the community involved and invested again. Her voice was lively, each word a spark of enthusiasm that recharged his spirits. Sounds good. Where do we start? Tom asked, his heart pounding with an unfamiliar excitement. First, we need to gather a team. We can't do this alone, she said. Let's talk to the regulars at the center. Tom nodded, his mind racing. He was ready for this. They grabbed a few chairs in the main hall, the heart of the community, which had seen laughter and tears through the years. As they set up, Mia turned to him, her eyes shining. You're in this for the long haul now, Dad. I really believe you can do this. He couldn't help but smile back at her. I'm trying, Mia. This feels different. I want to show you I mean it. The hours flew by. One by one, familiar faces joined their little makeshift planning committee. Neighbors, friends, and even a few kids who were eager to help out filled the room. Laughter echoed off the walls, and suddenly Tom felt less like an outsider and more like a member of this vibrant family. Every smile, every nod of encouragement touched his heart. As Mia led the discussions, Tom watched how effortlessly she pulled everyone together, her passion contagious. She spoke about upcoming events, a fun run, a bake sale, a community film night, ideas spilling forth like a fountain. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement, but even amidst the laughter and planning, Tom couldn't escape the weight of his fears. What if they didn't raise enough money? What if he couldn't deliver on his promises? He swallowed, the knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. Then, one of the kids, a shy boy named Sam, raised his hand. "Can I help with the run? I can make signs." Tom's heart swelled. "Absolutely, Sam. That's a great idea. We'll need lots of colorful signs to cheer everyone on." The boy's face lit up like a Christmas tree. Seeing that glow reminded Tom of why he was here. Not just to help the center, but to create moments like this with Mia and with the kids. He could already envision the day of the event, feeling the laughter and cheers filling the air, but just as the excitement reached a peak, an older woman named Mrs. Henderson, who had always been a stalwart of the center, leaned in close, her brow furrowed. "Tom," she said softly, her tone shifting, "just remember, it's not just about money. These kids need genuine care. They need you for who you are now, not who you were." The warmth in the room flickered as her words landed like a cold splash of water. Tom's mind raced back to moments from his past times when he deprioritized business over family. Would the community really trust him? The committee continued discussing details, but Tom felt disconnected for a moment, lost in thought. Could he truly overcome the doubts that loomed over him? Would the community's acceptance be conditional, based on his actions from here forward? As he weighed these questions, Mia caught his eye and offered him a supportive smile. It grounded him. This was his chance not just to rebuild the community center, but also to rebuild the trust between him and her. With a new resolve, he broke his silence. "You're right, Mrs. Henderson. I want to do this the right way. We won't just rebuild a center, we'll create a home for these kids." The group erupted with encouragement, and a wave of relief washed over Tom. Perhaps, together, they could rewrite the narrative, a second chance for him, for Mia, and for all the children whose spirits shone brightly. But just as the ideas flowed, a sudden crash from outside interrupted them. Mia jumped up, her expression shifting from excitement to concern. What was that? Tom's heart raced. Did something go wrong already? As they hurried outside, questions filled his mind. Would they be able to handle whatever challenge lay ahead, or would this setback threaten their budding unity? The adventure was only just beginning, and hardship was already knocking on their door. The door flew open, and the cacophony of laughter and chatter was instantly replaced by gasps. Outside, a colorful display of fruits and vegetables lay scattered across the ground, the remains of a fallen cart from the farmer's market next door. Tom instinctively stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in. Is anyone hurt? He glanced around, relieved to see the vendor, an elderly man named Mr. Turner, scrambling to his feet, shaking his head. No one's hurt, but look at this mess. Mr. Turner gestured to his wares, the vibrant produce now squashed and rolling away. It's my fault. I tied the cart too loosely. Can someone help me gather this? I can't lose all this food. Mia's eyes widened, filled with compassion for the vendor's plight. We should help him. This could be a chance to show the center's spirit, Dad. Without hesitation, she bolted towards the scattered melons, bending low to pick one up before it could roll away. Tom felt the weight of uncertainty lift as he followed her lead. They weren't just planning events, they were already making a difference. Let us get this back on the cart, he called, rushing to assist Mia. As the others from the planning committee surged out behind them, a collective desire to help began to fill the air. They worked side by side, laughter intermingled with determination, boosting Mr. Turner's spirits. "Thank you, thank you. You all are lifesavers," he exclaimed as he shared a smile with Tom. "I always believed in the heart of this community, just the reminder I needed." The word struck home. They weren't merely rebuilding a center, they were something bigger, a family, unified in laughter and support. Tom's heart warmed as he watched Mia encourage her friends to take charge, cheerful as she directed traffic with the fruits, inspiring everyone to join in. But just as they finished gathering the last of the fallen produce, a police siren pierced through the joyous atmosphere. Tom's heart sank. "What now?" he whispered, looking nervously into the distance. A patrol car rounded the corner, the light flashing and stopping right outside the center. A police officer stepped out, her face serious as she approached. Tom braced himself. Were they in trouble for the chaos? Did something about their small-town fundraiser attract unwanted attention? "Is everything all right here?" she asked curtly, her eyes scanning the area. "Yes. Just a little mishap," Tom replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Mr. Turner had a card issue, but we're handling it." The officer nodded, her expression softening a bit as she took in the scene, volunteers smiling and working together. "I like what I see here. But I need to remind you, other than the chaos, illegal activities can cause trouble for your event." "Illegal activities?" Tom echoed, his voice low. "Yes. Last week, we had reports of some vandalism around the park. Can't be too careful right now." Her gaze sharpened slightly, leaving them all momentarily uneasy. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. What were they getting into? He looked at Mia, who stood there, determination clear on her face. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them. As the officer gave him a final nod and returned to her car, relief mingled with concern washed over Tom. They had to protect what they were building, and rallying the community was now as crucial as ever. "Dad, can we talk about this later?" Mia pulled him aside, urgency flashing in her eyes. "I don't want anything to stop us now." Tom smiled, his heart filling with pride at her spirit. "You're right. We've come too far to turn back now." They headed back inside, but as Tom glanced over his shoulder, he caught sight of Mr. Turner, who waved over with gratitude. Tom knew they were on the right path, but could they really lift the center without attracting more trouble? Would they be prepared for what was to come? With the weight of those questions resting heavily on his mind, Tom steeled himself to face whatever came next. He wouldn't just build a center, he'd build a legacy. And as they gathered back for their planning, one thing was clear: this journey was only going to get more intense. But could more trials bring them closer together, or would they unravel what they had just begun? Tom tried to shake off the chill of the officer's warning as they settled back into the buzz of planning. The walls of the community center felt both familiar and now weighed down by the looming threat of trouble. He glanced around at the gathering of determined faces, each filled with hope and vision. But in the corner of his mind, doubts flared. What if their dreams crumbled before they even took flight? Mia stood excitedly at the front of the room, her enthusiasm infectious. "Okay, everyone. We've got a lot to do. Let's brainstorm ways to promote our event and draw the community in. Do you think we should get some flyers out there?" one of her friends suggested, fidgeting with a pen, eyes gleaming with possibility. "That's a great idea. But let's get creative with it." Mia beamed. "What about a contest? We could get people to submit their best family recipes, and we can feature them at the event." Tom marveled at how naturally Mia took charge. Inspired, he leaned in. "Let's pair that with a cooking demonstration. We can get Mr. Turner involved to showcase some of his freshest produce." Laughter bubbled up, sparking ideas that bounced around like sunlight. They were all envisioning the same bright future. But as Tom nodded along, his mind kept drifting back to the officer's words. "Illegal activities? Why had the park become a target for vandalism? The thought gnawed at him. Dad? Mia's voice cut through his swirling thoughts. Is everything okay? Yeah, just thinking, he replied, offering a smile. What about a talent show? It could bring in different groups and showcase local talent. Everyone cheered, and soon they were discussing flyers, signs, and decorations. The energy of the room shifted, and soon laughter filled the air once more. They were creating something special, something alive. Yet, the earlier warning still hung over Tom like a dark cloud. As the session wrapped up, Tom felt a pulse of pride for what they were building together. That sense of community was everything. But a tiny niggle persisted: how to protect it. As they gathered their things, Mia trudged up beside him. Dad, you seem distracted. What's up? She asked, her brow furrowed in concern. Tom took a deep breath. Mia, I just want to make sure this doesn't become too complicated. I've heard about some trouble around the park. I'd hate for our event to be affected by something we can't control. Her eyes narrowed, determination flaring. Dad, we can't think like that. We have to focus on what we can do and the joy we can bring to everyone. We're here to make a difference, remember? That's true, he said, heartened by her strength. And you're leading the charge. You're right. We need to stay positive. Amicham. She nodded vigorously. And we'll make it amazing together. Just then, the door swung open again, and in stepped the mayor's assistant. She seemed breathless, as if she had rushed over in a hurry. I hope I'm not interrupting. No, not at all. We're just wrapping up our plans for the event. Mia chirped, bouncing on her toes. The assistant's expression shifted, a mix of excitement and urgency shadowing her features. You need to hear this. The mayor has an important announcement regarding the park. It might change everything for your event. Tom's heart raced. Was this good news or trouble? The room fell silent. Everyone's eyes, wide and curious, turned toward the assistant. What did the mayor say? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Well, there's a proposal on the table to increase funding for community events. Before she could finish, Tom's thoughts raced. Would this mean more chances for them, or did it have a catch? In that moment, he realized he had to know. He had to protect this dream they were building. But could he handle whatever twist might come next? The tension hung in the air like static electricity, and Tom felt the weight of anticipation settle over them. What lay ahead? Would they face newfound opportunities or dangers lurking in disguise? The truth was inching ever closer, and soon, it would be revealed. The assistant took a deep breath, her eyes shining with excitement. And if passed, this funding could not only secure your event but open doors for future activities in the park. Mia's face lit up. That's amazing. What do we need to do? Tom felt a surge of cautious hope. How do we make sure this proposal goes through? The assistant glanced around the room, sensing the palpable energy. The mayor is hosting a town hall meeting next week. If you all show up to voice your support, it could make a huge difference. Let us do it. Mia proclaimed, her voice ringing out with determination. She turned to the group. Everyone, we need to rally support. We can spread the word, get our friends, families, everyone we know involved. Applause erupted as the others echoed their agreement. Tom figured that this was no small event. They could transform the community's enthusiasm into momentum. But doubts looped in his mind. What if there was a challenge lurking beneath the surface? As plans for the town hall meeting unfolded, the whirlwind of excitement seemed to drown out his worries. They were immersed in a flurry of ideas: posters, social media campaigns, and community outreach. Yet, a nagging concern clung to him like a shadow. Later that evening, Tom tucked Mia into bed. He kissed her forehead, brushing off her chatter about the event. As he stepped into the hallway, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were venturing into uncharted territory, ready to take bold steps, but with possible consequences waiting in the wings. The days moved fast, and the countdown to the town hall began. Flyers plastered every corner of town, and Mia's infectious energy spread like wildfire. Tom marveled at her passion, the way she could command a room full of people and captivate their hearts. But deep down, he still wrestled with the officer's warning. The park held secrets, and he couldn't forget that dark cloud hovering. Did others share his concerns? Was keeping their hopes high just a way to shield themselves? As the town hall night approached, rumors began to spring up around town. Did you hear about the recent break-ins at the park? One neighbor whispered amongst the group. They say it's a gang marking their territory. Tom's heart sank. The buzz of excitement around the event was becoming laced with fear. He and Mia had worked too hard to let shadows loom over their plans. How could he protect her and all those who believed in this vision? When town hall night arrived, the gym overflowed with buzzing voices. The mayor stood at the podium, preparing to address the crowd. Tom leaned toward Mia, whispering, "Remember, no matter what happens, we've got to stay united." "I know, Dad," she replied, eyes shining as she focused on the stage. "This is our moment." Then the crowd erupted in applause as the mayor stepped forward. He smiled, and Tom felt a flicker of hope reignite. This was their chance, this was their opportunity to spark real change, but just then, loud shouting erupted from the entrance. The mood shifted, confusion rippling through the crowd. Tom's stomach knotted. What could disrupt this moment? And who were those shouting? The unexpected chaos crashed over their excitement like a storm, and Tom tightened his grip on Mia's hand, bracing for whatever was about to unfold. As the room fell silent, all eyes turned toward the door. He knew then that they faced a pivotal moment, one that could redefine everything they had worked for. Would the event still be a beacon of hope, or had they opened a door to fear and uncertainty? The answer loomed ahead, waiting in the unknown. The doors burst open, and a group of people pushed their way inside. Their faces were flushed with anger, and their shouts filled the room, drowning out the mayor's muted welcome. Tom felt his heart quicken as he recognized some familiar faces. They were local residents, and their palpable frustration swirled around like a dark cloud. "We don't want more crime in our park," someone yelled, their voice echoing against the high gym ceiling. "How can we trust this plan when the neighborhood isn't safe?" Duels of tension sparked as their cries collided with the hopeful murmurs of the supporters. Tom exchanged worried glances with Mia, whose eyes widened at the unfolding scene. She looked up at him, searching for reassurance, but all he could provide was a tight squeeze of her hand. "Everyone, please," the mayor called, raising his hands in a gentle attempt to calm the chaos. His voice trembled with authority but lacked the power to quell the dissent. More voices joined in. "It's not safe. And what will we do if we lose our kids to gangs?" Tom felt a deep churning inside. The fears they had worked to bury suddenly rose like a tidal wave, threatening to drown their hopes. He knew they needed to reclaim the narrative before this event was hijacked by fear. "Let us hear this out," he shouted, his voice rising above the noise. Shifting out of his protective stance over Mia, he took a step forward, eyes scanning the crowd. The outcry paused, curiosity peaked. He couldn't let this moment slip, it was too vital. "Listen, I understand your concerns. We all love this park, and we want it to be safe." Tom's voice steadied with intentionality. "But what if this isn't just about fear? What if we could turn that fear into action?" Those words hung in the air, and the murmur subsided like waves receding on the shore. "We're not just here to discuss funding. We're all invested in this community. Together, we can create awareness and support for one another," he continued, feeling the weight of his sincerity. "Mia has been working hard. She's dreamed of seeing our kids playing safely, of our families gathering here." He gestured to Mia, who stood right behind him, eyes still wide, but now gleaming with pride. "We can't let fear dictate our future," Mia added, her small voice cutting through the tension. "We can be strong. And doing this event could help us all come together, strengthen our neighborhood and make the park safe. A low ripple of applause arose, hesitant at first, but it began to spread. Tom felt hope igniting once more, but deep down, he still grappled with unease. Would this wave of unity be strong enough to bridge the gaps? Would they truly dismantle the shadows that lurked in their community? As the voices of support began to outweigh the shouts of fear, he turned back to the stage, his heart beating a little faster. The mayor recovered from the disruption, seizing the renewed energy. If we all work together, let us talk about community patrols, more activities, more eyes on the ground. This park can be a vibrant place once again. But as the crowd began to rally, a sharp voice screamed from the back. You think it's that easy? You think you can just ignore the danger? Tom spun around, catching a glimpse of a figure in the crowd. The tension ripped the gym like a vice, and his stomach dropped as he realized who it was. The challenges were far from over. Had they unintentionally awakened something deep-rooted? As the atmosphere crackled with both fear and determination, Tom couldn't shake the feeling they were standing at the edge of something bigger than they had ever prepared for. What lay ahead could shape not only their beloved park but their entire community. The mayor tried to regain control, but Tom's mind raced with the implications of what was coming. Would they manage to push through, or was the awakening of their fears just the beginning? Tom's heart pounded in his chest, the air thick with unease. He was used to facing challenges, but this was different. This was his community, and it felt like a storm was brewing right inside their own backyard. That he turned his gaze back to the crowd, recognizing the nervous faces of his neighbors. The late-night discussions, the worries whispered in hushed voices, had crystallized into this moment. Would they stand together, or would the seeds of fear tear them apart? As the yelling continued, Mia stepped forward, her small frame seeming even tinier against the backdrop of the angry crowd. What about the youth programs? She shouted, her voice a lifeline in the chaos. They've kept so many of us on the right path. A few heads turned, the anger momentarily eclipsed by curiosity. Tom felt a spark of hope. Maybe they could redirect the energy. Mia's right, he added, trying to channel the anxiety around him into something productive. Programs like those give our kids a sense of belonging, a foundation that can help prevent crime. A middle-aged man, his arms crossed tightly, wasn't he buying it? You really think that's enough? You think some after-school activities will keep our kids safe? His skepticism cut through the tentative agreement forming like a knife. I believe it starts there, Tom said, his own voice steadying with conviction. Creating safe spaces, getting families involved, and supporting each other. It's a long process, but it's a start. We have to come together now, or we risk losing it all. Another wave of murmurs broke out, this time simmering with a mix of doubt and reconsideration. He glanced at Mia, who was looking at the crowd with wide hopeful eyes, and he drew strength from her presence. The mayor leaned in, a bit of fire igniting in his voice as he echoed Tom's sentiments. We've faced dangers before, and we've always risen to the occasion. Look at the love in this room. We're all here for one purpose, and that is to reclaim this park as a safe haven for our families. Love doesn't stop bullets. The man shouted, crossing the line from skepticism to outright anger. But love can forge community. Mia cried out, her innocent conviction ringing clearer than any argument. We can't let our fear win. Look at the support in this room. We can become our own patrol, keep each other accountable. Hope flickered again, brighter this time, and Tom felt the tide shifting. People nodded, some even murmured affirmatively. But just as the wave of unity began to swell, the discontented man silenced them once more. You all want change, but who is going to protect us until then? Until your dreams become reality? The weight of his words hung heavily in the air. Tom's heart sank. How could he address such a difficult truth? Let us focus on what we can do today. Tom shouted, refocusing the energy. We've all experienced the fear, but we've also felt the hope. We can organize meetings, build trust. We can voice our worries collectively where it matters. Slowly, Nods began to emerge, and the atmosphere shifted once again. There was movement from the back. An elderly woman stood up. If we don't unite now, we risk losing everything we've built right here. Tom could feel the momentum building, the frenzy of emotions transforming into something meaningful. Just then, he caught a glimpse of the man's face in the back. The anger still simmered, threatening to boil over. What would it take to turn that rage into something constructive? Before he could decide, a new voice rang out, deeper and more authoritative. You think you can do this alone? You think we're gonna just stand around doing nothing? It was a figure Tom recognized, a local gang member with a reputation that sent chills through the neighborhood. That it was a call to action, an ultimatum. How would they counter this challenge? The expertise and experience of their community was at a crossroads. The reality of breaking down barriers was dawning, but were they ready to face the most frightening part of all, confronting the factors that fueled their fears? Tom stood at the edge of a decision, the crowd echoing from both sides, uncertain yet yearning for the safety of unity. As the voice from the back echoed again, louder this time, a surge of adrenaline coursed through him. Would they face their greatest fears together, or would the darkness tear them apart? The figure stepped into the light, the shadows falling away to reveal a tall, imposing presence. The crowd instinctively took a collective step back. It was Marcus, known for his charm and intimidation, his presence a stark reminder of the street's darker paths. Tom felt his stomach twist. The stakes were higher than he had realized. You think you're gonna change anything here? Marcus challenged, his voice dripping with skepticism. These kids are already lost. Their parents are never around. Why are you even trying to save a sinking ship? The murmurs from the crowd shifted, uncertainty creeping back in. Tom could feel the fear radiating through the group like a low hum. He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. We can't give up on them, Marcus. That's just it. If we don't try, we are already defeated. Mia stepped up beside him, her little hands fisted at her sides. And if we don't start somewhere, nothing will ever change. We have the power to help one another. Marcus scoffed, shaking his head, but even he couldn't ignore the voices of doubt echoing through the crowd. So what? You think a few bake sales and neighborhood meetings will stop the crime? Folks around here know better. Tom could feel the tension suffocating the air. Maybe it's not about stopping the crime right away, maybe it's about making sure our kids have alternatives. His voice rose with determination. We need to show them there's something better than fear. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Tom felt a flicker of hope ignite. We could work together, start community programs, mentorships, get businesses to sponsor initiatives. It's about giving our kids a future. Marcus narrowed his eyes, as if weighing Tom's words. The crowd was leaning in, sensing a shift, a potential way forward. But Marcus stepped closer, his presence commanding attention again. You're all delusional if you think the street's just gonna let go. You need muscle to keep folks in line, or they'll swallow you whole. Maybe you're right about needing protection, but we can be that protection for each other, Tom replied, sparking a resurgence of will in the crowd. He felt hearts racing with the pulse of urgency, a quiet strength building alongside his own. The elderly woman spoke up again, her voice wavering but clear. I've lived here for decades. I've seen the fear, but I've also seen resilience. If we empower each other instead of tearing each other down, there's nothing we can't do. Marcus glanced around, and for a moment, even his fiery glare softened. You really think this can work? You're asking a lot of folks who are used to fighting for respect, Tom. Tom stepped forward, vulnerability washing over him. I understand that, Marcus. We all have fought hard in different ways. But respect starts with trust that we can be more than just the labels we wear. If we don't reach out to each other, we'll only keep hurting ourselves. The silence hung heavy for a moment as he searched Marcus's eyes. I'm asking you to help us change the conversation. Be the bridge instead of the barrier, he added, his voice calm but firm. The crowd held its breath, waiting for Marcus's response. Tom watched those faces around him filled with worry, but also light, a gentle fire brewing under their surfaces. Would they stand together or would they let fear win? Marcus hesitated, the moment stretching into an eternity. Tom couldn't shake the feeling that this was a turning point, not just for them, but for Marcus too, and then Marcus spoke. You really think you can change things? Maybe I'll check it out, but don't think I won't step in if this turns into a joke. A fragile cheer broke out, but Tom's heart raced. What had they opened themselves up to? As Marcus stepped back, the crowd took a breath, stepping closer to one another, the atmosphere tinged with cautious optimism. But deep inside, Tom felt the heavy weight of uncertainty. Would he truly act as a bridge, or had they only invited more trouble into their lives? As he watched the crowd lock eyes, forming connections, Tom's chest tightened. They had taken a first step, but he was afraid of what lay ahead. With determination, he faced the gathering, knowing they had embarked on a dangerous journey. Was it enough to build a future, or would they be consumed before they could even begin? In the days that followed the chaotic town hall meeting, an unexpected wave swept through the community. People began to rally in ways Tom never could have imagined. The combination of fear and hope had ignited something powerful. Neighbors who had once turned away from one another were now coming together, sharing ideas and strengthening their resolve to protect their park, their children, and each other. Tom found himself back at the community center every evening, side by side with Mia and the very people who had once looked at him with skepticism. This newfound energy felt alive, buzzing through the air like static. They painted banners, made plans, and organized their inaugural Hope Festival, where games, food, and activities would unite everyone beneath the sun. Mia, the applications for vendors are pouring in. An excited volunteer exclaimed one day, clasping a stack of forms tight to her chest. Mia beamed with pride. This is incredible. We're really building this together. Tom watched her enthusiasm blossom, feeling a warmth swell in his chest. She was leading like never before, her spirit infectious. But amid the smiles and laughter surrounding him, the reality of their situation still gnawed at him. Just days ago, Marcus had stood threateningly at the edge of their plans. Would they be able to follow through, or would the cracks of fear rip through all they had built? Dad, what if we invite Marcus? Mia suggested one evening, her brows furrowing in thought. He could use his connections to help bridge the gap. Sometimes, doing it together is the only way to succeed. Tom hesitated, contemplating Marcus's involvement. But then he saw it, the flicker of hope in Mia's eyes. What if? What if the walls could really come down? They could forge a partnership that brought healing instead of destruction. You're right. Let us ask him. But we have to be smart, he replied, determination anchoring his voice. The following week, as festival preparations unfolded, they reached out to Marcus. The meeting felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, anticipation humming in the air. Tom and Mia strolled to the park, the golden light of the setting sun casting long shadows behind them. Whatever happens, we've worked hard for this, Tom reminded her, swallowing his growing anxieties. Stretched across the park, the festival began to take shape. Tom watched families set up booths, laughter echoing for miles as children dashed excitedly from one activity to another. As the day unfolded, a flurry of colors blurred together in hopes, dreams, and the joyous chaos of community life. Then, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd. Marcus strolled towards them, his casual demeanor matched by a slight smirk on his face that Tom couldn't quite decipher. He stood confidently, hands in his pockets. The tension was palpable. Nice setup, Marcus commented, a hint of begrudging admiration in his tone. Looks like you've got everyone on board, huh? Tom nodded, feeling bold. We're building something real, Marcus. Our kids deserve it. Together, we can play a part in keeping our community strong. Mia stepped forward, her eyes bright with sincere determination. We believe that support can change the narrative. This festival is only the beginning. Join us. For a moment, the air hung thick. Tom could see Marcus weighing their words. Then, without taking his eyes off them, Marcus grinned a big, genuine smile that transformed his whole face. "Count me in then. I want to see if this truly works." With that, it felt like a dam had burst. The crowd began to cheer, people rallied behind the new partnership. Tom let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Their community was embracing unity, stepping into something bold and transformative. As days blurred into weeks, the community center blossomed into a hub of energy. Volunteers emerged from every corner, and even businesses pitched in with donations. Tom felt alive. He was no longer the millionaire looking in from outside, he was a part of something much greater. The day of the Hope Festival finally arrived. Everything sparkled under the bright sun. The fragrant scent of fresh food wafted through the air, and cheerful music filled every space. Families clutched hands, children giggled as they raced to the bounce house. As Tom watched Mia tearing around with newfound friends, his heart squeezed with joy. Then he spotted Marcus, mingling confidently with residents, laughing and connecting. Tom felt a sense of vindication wash over him. Yes, transformation was possible. Together, they were rewriting the very story of their town. As the day wound down, Tom stood atop a small stage, clutching the microphone with nerves tinged by excitement. "Thank you, everyone," he shouted, his voice echoing across the park. "We've all taken steps together. This isn't just about the center or the festival. It's about community, unity, and hope." The crowd erupted into applause. In that moment, he caught Mia's eye, sparkling with pride and happiness. She waved enthusiastically, a radiant smile lighting up her face. Tom's heart swelled. They defaced fear, embraced change, and in doing so, had transformed not only their community center but also their relationship. The sun dipped below the horizon, wrapping the park in twilight's embrace. Problems would still arise, challenges would still come, but they were ready. They had forged paths through the darkness, hand in hand, step by step. As the festival ended in laughter and cheers, Tom felt a profound warmth in his heart, the realization that he had finally chosen love over luxury, presence over profit. This was the beautiful mess of life, and he wouldn't trade it for anything. Let this be a reminder, whenever we feel separated or adrift, it's never too late to rebuild, reconnect, and reignite warmth where there was once only a void. In that spirit, my friends, we urge you to keep growing, keep connecting, and never hesitate to spread love where it truly matters. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Real fans know the importance of showing support.